I'm about ready to get started.
We're zooming up here.
It's close enough to 6 o'clock p.m. for this committee. Well,
Yeah, Cosgray,
President,
Foreman, Schaffner.
also we have Maverick Ellis, Matt Nothazer, we got Brian Bedler, Fitz Foster, Rogers, Chief Police, Darla Reedy, Brett Phillips, Brandon Curry, present. So I need approval for 2 sets of minutes. August 26th. Someone makes a motion that we approve the August 26th minutes as presented. I'll second. All in favor? Aye.
Well, who has to abstain?
And I think
Whoa.
Abstain on that one.
We couldn't do the last August 20th because we didn't have a quorum. So
Because you had abstained. So I had to abstain on the next.
so this one is two. Who abstained to that one then?
I made
Schaffner.
the motion to approve.
Right.
Wait a second.
Okay.
You should abstain.
Okay.
So now you have to make this motion because I was. September
what
23rd.
is the date of that one?
September 23rd.
I move to approve the minutes from September 23rd as written.
Cause for a second. All in favor, aye. Abstain. So we've got 2 sets of minutes already approved. We can move on toward, any visitors want to address the service committee?
Service, yeah, it looks like Sherry.
Oh, that's for later.
Oh, so you're not for service?
No, oh, is there,
Yeah, there's 3 meetings.
oh, there's 3 different ones?
Yes.
This is the
It's
service
been a long
committee.
day.
So there's no visitors who want to speak.
All right.
Oh, I see.
Move on toward the 2024 goals. We are currently working on a new 5-year plan for the streets, the water treatment plant, the wastewater treatment plant, and currently working on the 5-year plan for the storm sewer and I&I. I did see where there was some. We're gonna apply for PWC grants and stuff like that for more improvements. So that's encouraging. Move on to reports, village departments.
Tim, do you want to speak to the OPWC?
Well, Jefferson Street from the park to the dead end, and then we're hoping to get right away so we can move around Elmwood. And we want Elmwood from Main to the west to the alley, and then loop that back around to Fairview. So we have all that, you know, we're looking at pavement and whatnot for what we're tearing up. So, but I know we have to get right away through Junie's. Okay. And I know we haven't spoke to them yet, but that's what we're kind of shooting. All right, so that'd be, you know, next year or whatever. The water lines and the pavement. All right. Anything from Parks and Rec Board?
I don't think there's really anything. I know Matt met with the soccer people, and the soccer people are going to, they asked for a couple small things, but the main thing on that is they're going to have somebody hired because there's so many goals out there. It takes our guys, we don't have time to move all those goals, and they're going to hire somebody to run them.
I'm gonna get reports from the water and the sewer company.
Yeah. I thought that was.
I would have thought that would be the village department.
Yeah.
All right, sorry about that.
That's okay. Eli, would you be willing to give an update on the work being done on the gates? And anything else you sense relevant to?
With the gates, we had bought some new stems a while back. Thought that was going to be the end all, so we could open and close these gates found out that was not gonna be the end all be all. So what we have to do now is purchase 3 additional gates. Because the other ones are just so rotted out that you can't open and close them, and that's gonna help us with our membrane cleaning. Until we're able to get our internal membrane cleaning up to speed. So the reason these gates is isolate each membrane so we can clean them and only take 1 offline. Right now, we have to take 2 offline to clean 1.
Okay.
I will do that.
So we're gonna get this ordered right away?
We are, but it's still,
One's ordered and 3 need to be ordered?
3 are gonna be ordered this year, already. Brian's already approved that, so it's an 8 to 12 week lead time maybe.
Okay.
The guy's supposed to get back with me, because we had a quote before for 4. And I said, hey, can I just take off 15,000 and make it 3? And then I'm gonna get back with you. So we're looking at probably around 46,000 for 3 weeks.
Is this a lack of exercising them regularly, or is this a bad design? Are they being designed correctly?
Absolutely poor design. I don't think they're gonna be any different, but I think, I don't think they were ever used.
So they may also be a lack of maintenance.
They might be, 'cause, when we got down and found that one, it was completely ate up. Because the stainless steel.
So if they were used every 2 weeks or monthly, they may not have gotten into this condition?
Exactly. Because right now they can't, they're under sludge the entire year. For 365 days a year, they're under sludge. If you don't work those gates, they're gonna get corroded and stuck.
Is there any kind of corrosion protection you guys can put on there?
Stainless steel is supposed to be okay, especially if you got 3 something, I can't think of it. We got 3 or 3. Right, something like that. It's not supposed to corrode or anything under those conditions. We found 1 out of the 4 that did.
Is there any kind of grease or lubricant that'll stand up to that at all?
Not that I know of. I can talk to the manufacturer when I talk to him next week also. But I think it's just work monthly to make sure they're.
Cause they wouldn't work a long time.
No, I mean, the stems were bent like essence, and then we tried that the other day and they started bending like that again. So we just stopped and said it's time to get a new one.
Could we talk to them about getting a tube to run? I know at the very bottom, you have to have enough for the thing to travel up, but maybe we have a tube mounted to the wall to keep that from doing that.
To secure it, so it can't
I
deflect.
mean, I wonder if we could kind of rehash that a little bit.
We could, maybe some more brackets. Right now, it only comes with 2 brackets and they're what, about 10 foot apart. So if you get in between those brackets and it starts breaking down, it just bows out and makes a big old U.
Right, I mean, are these identical to the ones that plant you visited? They're identical?
Exactly. They're
Are
exactly
theirs
the
in
same.
similar condition, or?
Theirs are not in similar conditions, but they have internal cleanings and stuff like that, and they're able to isolate. There's a little bit more different than we are, because they're a bigger facility, Jackson was. So a lot of some of the things that were right on point with us, and a few things were different than what. So, they were right. We're back to back, so either we went first and they went second, or they went first and we went second as far as building our plants. So
The new gates put us in a better light with the EPA.
oh, it will. Because what we're trying to do is trying to get back to what these membranes can do capacity wise. So each one of those membranes should be able to do 300 gallons per minute. Right now, where we're at, 2 of them do 200 gallons per minute after cleaning, and 2 of them right now are doing 150 gallons a minute. So we need to get those up to at least 250, 300 if we can. Because talking to the Suez people, these membranes are salvageable. To where I thought they were ruined, but he said, if we can keep up our monthly cleanings or our 6-month cleanings, we'll be in better shape. So we get these gates in, we start working with the internal cleanings. That's going to take a while too, to get that back in working order, because there are a lot of valves and stuff that haven't been used for quite some time. So that's where we're at on that.
Okay, so pretty much the $100,000, or at least half of that's gonna go towards these gate repairs, and then there's still money left if we have to pay down other things as we go. Okay, and then we've made no progress on it. Did we ever get a result back from the EPA on hauling EQ basin sludge? Because we were waiting on that. I mean, I understand we don't necessarily have the money to do it right now, but did we get an answer from the EPA on that? Because last I heard, we were waiting on feedback from the EPA on where we had to haul it to.
We only could take it to the dump. We still haven't got back anything with Rumpke yet, but we can't pour it on the field because it's liquid and needs to be solid. So we had to take it to Rumpke. I had some kind of snafu. He said he didn't get my email or something, so it went a whole month, and I finally was like, "Hey, where are you?" And he finally got back with me.
So we got what we need from the EPA.
Not the EPA, wrong. The EPA has nothing to do with it. This is part of our permit. We just have to be able to take our sludge to the recycling center. We have to have samples to be able to give to them. So I filled out all the reports for them. I'm just waiting on a response.
Okay, and then are we hauling the sludge that's in the bags to fields right now to be spread?
We can.
Because that's something we only do this time of year because the crops have to be off
Right.
and the fields have to be dry.
Correct.
So every year there's only like a brief window of opportunity. I'm just wondering,
Yeah.
are we getting that stuff out of here? Or
We are. Usually it happens. Last year it happened right at the beginning of February. We're ready to go now. It's literally on my calendar. Call Carl on Thursday.
Okay.
Because we have 2 bags that can be sent over now, and that'll help us.
Okay.
But if we wait until January or February, then I have 3 bags. So it's kind of one of those. Hey, do we spend the money
But
now
we
or
don't
do I
know the
wait?
weather will be there.
Exactly.
Right now, we've got a window of opportunity. We probably take advantage of it just in case.
We just took our yearly samples from those sludge bags last week and got those back, so we're ready to
I'm
go.
ready to go on that.
Yep. Yep, because we didn't know at first. Everybody said, "Oh, you have to take those in the wintertime." The EPA goes, "You can take those in the midsummer. Why do it when it's cold out?"
Right. Well,
So-
like now we got a really dry spell and the crops are off early. So
We're definitely ahead of the game from where we were at when I first started back last June. Myself and Ryan both. So yeah. What else? We were able to get a pump installed at South Company with the help of Tim and his crew. So now we have 3 running pumps. We need 1 more to go, and then that whole site will be completely redone. So that's a good thing, because before we were running on 2 big pumps, and 2 big pumps coming over to our wastewater facility, a little bit too much if they were both running at the same time. So now we can run a small one and a big one, and it's okay. So we just got that up and running this morning. So yeah.
Can you let them know about our meeting tomorrow?
We do have a meeting tomorrow with the EPA. It's about our permit that we're gonna have for the next 5 years. As far as like the samples and stuff that we take, nothing will change on that aspect of it. What they're gonna be looking for is what are we doing to help, what are we doing to eliminate the INI? And that's been on their radar for a few years. Not just within the last year and a half that we've all been here, but it's been on their radar for the last 15 years. They're a little disappointed in our last permit from 2019 or to 2023-24. That not a lot of stuff was being done.
do we have any results from these meters that we've been moving around town? Because the intent of that is to try to identify where the biggest problem is, so we could identify where the most effective stormwater project would be. And do we have any data to share with them at this point to be able to say, well, this is what we're doing? This neighborhood is where a lot of it's coming from. We're gonna start focusing on stormwater project in this neighborhood.
We don't have like, hey, we're gonna start our stormwater project in this neighborhood. What we do have, I have all the data. We flow tested the entire town last year and this year. I do have that data up. We do have some problem areas. But what we need to focus on now is let's do it in little sections. So we just smoke tested. We just got everybody's laterals and stuff that were smoked. We went around as a village and we did that cost and we did it ourselves. Wasn't nothing, a few caps here and there, and that was it. So now what we're going to work on is the storms that we've seen have smoke. And Tim's crew, they're going to start cameraing some things to see where we have a problem at.
So when we meet with the EPA tomorrow, it's gonna be somewhere like from where we were now from where we were last year.
I think so. I mean, we put in a lot of hard work.
No, I know, that's what I'm saying. I mean, just the replacement of the gates, the smoke tests, all the stuff that you're doing.
Right.
I mean, I would think it's eons more than what was done before.
We haven't had a bypass. I know we've been dry a little bit this summer, but even taking the plane offline for 3 days to clean 2 MBRs here about 2 months ago, no bypass. We went to the lagoon. Since we had it all drained out, we were able to hold that. And that's what they're looking for.
Right.
They don't want to see it to go into the creek.
Right.
We have a big EQ lagoon. We have 2 EQ basins.
We're not going to.
So we're not going into the creek. So that was a big deal to get that thing sucked down and to be able to clean those membranes for 3 days being offline.
Of the drought.
Could be. I mean, yeah, but even when we have a little bit of rain, we're still able to hold that. We haven't had any bypasses.
You guys just saying of the lack of precipitation.
That's true.
But we need to take advantage of this dry opportunity to get more prepared for when it does.
We do,
So-
yeah. And I think we're making those steps. I want it to happen overnight, but I've learned that it's not gonna happen overnight. We have to do it in small pieces. So we get one, can't get ahead of ourselves. You know what I mean? If you're in there, you're cleaning the living room, stay in the living room, and clean the living room, and then move on to the kitchen. And it's just like that, so.
We did the stormwater project out east. Was that area identified as a problem in the INI? And is there a way to go back and check that and see what we've done as updating?
No, you're talking about that Holder Road project?
Yeah, I mean, if there used to be standing water out there, there was obviously a stormwater problem out there.
Not that I
If the
know of.
water's running that way, the way it wasn't before, maybe it alleviated some pressure this way.
Yeah, I don't know, because like I said, we've had no rain for a day in the past. I mean, I'm pretty sure Holder Road is up to good now, ready to go, right?
Yeah, but you know what, most of that is all.
It doesn't come near our sanitary.
Okay.
So it really doesn't come.
Right. I just didn't know right there where Holder and on the edge of it.
Yeah, I mean, you might be able to see that out from 6, but I'm not sure that we really had a problem at that point. We do have a lot of flow that comes in Market Street to Gordon and down Monroe, and I know Eli knows that. And
That's one of our.
That's not a small part of the town, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the issues that are on our INI project, so. I mean, we're there, I mean, we're communicating between myself and Tim and Scott and everybody, so. And if you guys have any questions, email me or whatever, I'll be happy to answer it or make up something that.
Can we strike that last part from the record?
No, that's gonna be down in a minute.
Oh, thanks, Eli.
Take it back. No problem.
You know, Scott, while we're. All right. That. Okay.
Yeah, I love this.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, we had that, the well field.
Yeah, thanks for coming, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
I got these for you. There's 3 papers in there. So that's gonna be the projected costs of the wells. There's a letter from National Water in there, basically detailing why we are going away from our old wells and going to a new house. And then the other one is a projected location for where we want to put the wells. So we chose Oak Park, essentially because that's where the village was leaning at before, when they were told that they needed to get new wells.
B3 is working on some of this stuff for us as well, correct?
Yes.
It was 1975, the newest well we have.
Yeah.
At one point, we had one well working, didn't we, beginning of this year?
We only had one well working. The other 2 were just not being used, not being operated. I had not some water come in and they hit the pumps. They tried to clean the well, but they were unable to clean them due to the debris in the bottom of the wells, as well as the iron bacteria in the holes and the casings of the wells. So essentially, it's like sucking through a straw that has holes in the bottom of it. Your pump's gonna have to work a lot harder to try to pull that water up out of the ground. I recommended that we don't continue to use those wells any past more than 5 years from now. That's what they said that we have potentially left on those wells. Anything after that is going to be completely risky. He says the price to try to rehabilitate our existing wells is just throwing good money after that. Because initially what you can do is you can put a liner in those wells, which is going to reduce the diameter of that casing by 2 inches, which means you can pump less water out of those at a time when the village is trying to grow.
Well, if their prognosis on the 2 newest wells is that we only got 5 years left, what's the prognosis on the oldest well?
Their surprise is still right.
Okay, that doesn't sound good.
It could be essentially because nobody's touched that well. They haven't rotated them in years probably, but there was just a couple of issues. Once we got the new wells running again, the programming in the SCADA was wrong. So the SCADA wasn't tuned to actually make adjustments to how fast or how slow I could pump water out of those wells. So then we had to pay a programmer to come in and fix that.
But this is something we gotta put in the works, a plan to come up with this money.
Yes. So those cost projections, they were estimates. I'm still getting estimates today. Today's estimate is 1.4 for drilling and water line construction and 270,000 for, planning, design, and drill test. The reason he broke those up is because the planning and design would be 0% interest on that loan, while the construction portion would be 2.27% interest.
How much interest, what'd you say?
2.27.
2.2, okay, you said 37.
No, that's for a 30-year loan. 20 years, it would be 2.03. But he said most municipalities go with the 30-year loan for that.
And you're getting these figures from
V3, yes.
It had to be the drill one additional well,
Two.
two additional wells at that price or each?
Let's see, he broke it down in a spreadsheet, but I can't tell you exactly what. It would just be half, but this is just total for the well project to get two 12-inch wells. Yes, yes,
So that estimate is for two additional 12-inch wells.
yes. And that's for the wells and the water line extension, the water line.
To take the water lines
From Alt Park to
back to the
us.
water lines. Yes. Gotcha. And 1.5.
Over 30 years, that's actually.
Oh, and a good part of that's 0% too. So, and they did 2.9. I mean, that's something we gotta. This isn't a maybe. Can we do this? This is something we're gonna do.
Well, I don't really want to be in this room when everybody wakes up one morning and there's no water.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
No, but I mean, Scott, this is something we should work on in the next year or 2 years, right?
No, yeah. We're working on that. We are trying to get.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we want to probably.
Sorry about that, Gordon.
No, it was me.
We want to be applying for this loan probably by the end of this year, or as soon as possible. That's why I'm here to let you guys know that we're going to be applying
Well,
for the loan with you guys' permission. If that's what
well, they have to pass legislation.
Right. Which we, obviously, this is gonna be rigorous, because legislation we're gonna have to pass, and we gotta have water.
So service should make a recommendation to council to make a motion to authorize the village administrator to
Start working on that.
pursue this. So Form makes a motion to service recommend that to council. All in favor, say aye. Aye. So we'll send that up to council to make a recommendation and start working on that. Okay, so well.
So the other thing was the location of the wells. That's the map. That's Alt Park. They're looking at getting it towards the front of Alt Park because that's where we find that there's the geologist said we'll have better water quality at that location. These aren't permanent locations right now because they just got the sewer and septic map this morning, and they have to have a 300-foot radius away from sewer and septic.
So one of these wells is kind of in the front where we pile all that mulch, right? And then one of them's in the woods.
In the tree line is what they were looking for. I was talking with Tim. He said that he doesn't think that would be the best location because he says it's a swamp.
Yeah.
Also, we have sewer or septic in that area too, so we're probably gonna move that a bit.
This is just I don't know if this is a fly in the ointment, but I remember somebody saying something about some kind of archaeological, that's way back.
Yeah. It's in the
Okay, it's not what it's away from this one.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's not gonna affect our project.
Not at that point, no.
Okay.
So we're talking about moving that well that's in the woods north to the edge of the tree line then?
I think we should, because first of all, we're gonna have maintenance on that.
Right. You're either gonna have to build a road to it.
Man, you can't get in there. I mean, I know it's a swamp.
Yeah, I'm gonna recommend probably right along the edge of that tree line. That way it doesn't.
I just might have to go back a little bit.
Yep. Any more questions with water?
We got more meters in now, we're ready to.
We've been
Meters in.
running around looking at people's houses to see what their service lines are made out of. So now that we passed that, we submitted that to the EPA. We're gonna probably start putting more meters in. We got 65 meters, and we'll see how many we can get in for the rest of the year.
Well, how many do you think you can get in by the end of the year?
I think we could probably do 30 a month or so. I think we can.
Okay.
That's if we can, so the biggest issue is getting in houses. If we can
No, I
get
understand
in
that, yeah.
5 houses a day, then we could easily knock that out. A lot of times we're going to houses and knocking on doors because we don't want to put out these tags again and create this mess that we just went through with the survey, trying to schedule people and coordinate that and having no time to do anything else in the day
Right.
except
For
for,
all the problem has been addressed, we're just down to the general public at this point.
no, we still
Still
have.
addressing problem meters.
Yeah, we're gonna start leaving tags on the problem houses, because that we can't read, and trying to schedule those houses to get done before we go and try to change the meters that's still working.
How many more than do you think you have problem meters?
From the list I saw today, probably about 60. Yeah, it seems like it changes each time we do a meter read, and so each month it changes. We're reading meters on Wednesday, it'll be different.
Anybody else got any water questions?
Well, okay, so for the motion, or you made a motion for Jeff to have prepare legislation for this, or
Yeah, I'm sure he will.
is that what we're talking about, drafting legislation for well project?
Well, I don't know that we're done negotiating the price yet.
Yeah, we don't have
So I don't know that
Just
we're ready
moving
for
forward.
legislation until we zero this in on it.
So just to move forward, okay.
Do you want me to ask them what's the maximum that they think this will cost? Like say max is 1.5.
Yeah, that way we can authorize that expenditure. And then if it comes in less, that's good.
Yeah. Yes. We will,
Thanks, Scott.
Tim, would you be willing to give an update on Golden Street?
Yeah, as far as Grove Street goes, Grove Street has been tied in at the swimming pool. It is now at Monroe Street.
good.
They should, we gotta find a couple things, I'm not saying what, that's like a, cat and mouse game where some of this stuff's been. But they should have the rest of it tied in. They're hoping for you to be able to run samples on Thursday. And then if we get good back T tests, we can start tying everybody in. They did catch a water service at, Walter's house Friday, right out of Maine. And we had to cut the driveway. It's fixed and that won't be repaired, and I think we're gonna be there. Another thing that we didn't talk about, storm, I met people from Enterprise Pipeline out there on Old Road.
Right.
And I know where the pipeline's at now, and I'm gonna get set up, as soon as we get some of this stuff done, we'll weed it out and dig up where we know that we had trouble with that, and we jetted that.
Yeah.
6-inch line. I mean, we got it to go, but it's not.
That's kind of behind Brian's house, what we're talking about, right?
Well, it's in that right of way.
Okay.
And, but anyway, I think we'll be in good shape where I, for sure, was at. But that guy will be there and we can get that thing taken care of, yes.
So you think we could have all the Boulder Road done before the end of the year? I would just ask.
Well, that's the only thing I really gotta do with Little River.
Right.
Yeah, that would be it, once I get that
That's
6-inch line.
okay.
Yeah, everybody should be good. I just want to bring that up, because I had a heck of a time getting hold of them people.
Thanks, Scott.
You should.
Right.
So, you got what you need, Ryan?
Yeah, I was a little confused as to what.
Yeah, we just went, Matt, to be able to negotiate with the B3 on our particular, move forward with it.
I was just making sure, okay.
We gotta get prices on that.
All right, so I guess from village departments, anything else, nothing from Road Street, it's all good. Got the water. So then, I guess the Parks Rec Board. Brandy, anything VDRC?
No.
All right. You guys got the winter thing coming up, that's about it, your winter. program?
We do, I don't have the dates on that. We do have the market. I can tell you that that's going to be December 7th. And that'll be from noon to 3. I think we mentioned this last time, just to reiterate, noon to 3 on that Saturday. And then there will be some concerts, I know. I don't have that exactly. Yeah. So once I get mention it as well.
All right, thank you. Old business, we already talked about the east side drainage, and the water meters, and then the residential building department. We're gonna take that to safety.
Yes.
Put it on their agenda. So we do have one piece of new business here, where he spoke about the well field. The resolution 2024-40 OPWC grant application. Just, motion to send that up to council from the committee.
And that was for the
Street project that Tim outlined.
Yeah.
Water and street.
Water and street.
We'll make a motion that we pass that up to council for approval.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. We're gonna send that resolution up to council. All right, that gets very, spoke about the well field, and we're gonna get moving on that. Anything else to come before, the service committee? All right, I understand the motion. Oh, yeah, I guess so. Next meeting will be, fourth Monday, November the 25th at 6 p.m.
We'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thanks, fellas. No problem.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, fellas.
Who seconded that?
Committee, point of order. And we got a couple visitors in the back. And, approval of minutes for September 23rd, 2022. And do we have any visitors who would like to speak to the safety committee?
No, we have to have a roll call.
We have to have a rule.
Okay, I'll just say all in favor?
Aye. Any visitors?
No,
There's no roll call.
no, there's no visitors who want to speak.
Goals, 0 workplace accidents, 1, 0 fail accidents, 0. Village administrator report.
I don't have anything really to address until we get to new business.
Okay. Police department.
Just a couple things going on, I guess. We got, well, first off, as you know, we've lost 2 of our SROs. One to leaving law enforcement altogether and going back to his roots, which was teaching. So he's gonna go back to his teaching license and be a teacher, an elementary teacher, I guess. The other one left to go to higher paying, police job. So we lost him for that. I've got, I don't know how many hearings out. I'm talking to everybody that can talk to.
You have some applications.
I do have 4 applications out. Back from one of them that said he was been moving over the last 3 weeks, and he said he just hadn't been time to get done and get it filled out. But he would get it. He just had to have Saturday, so work for that anytime. It's just really hard that first off, there's just not people out there. The people that are just one of the highest paying job rates. We're still just a little bit too low to pull them from anywhere. But I think with the next budget, I think we can easily get to probably where we need to be without too much trouble, and that might not be an issue. So that's that. Down at the office, last year, well, multiple years, we have problems with the garage not being heated. That like our computers, the car computers, different things in the cars, all the electronics have issues when they sit in there because if it's freezing outside, it's freezing inside in that garage being blocked like it is. So we worked on an installation plan for this year with some money that I still had in the budget to get the ceiling insulated. We're going
to, close off some of it that's not used, so we aren't heating more than we need to. And, hopefully we get that plan, going, so that'll help us in the winter time with that stuff. Also, a door, we replaced all the garage doors. One of them last year, two of them this year. We've got a walk-in man door that probably isn't coming until next year, right? Just because of the walk-in one, I'm sorry. The walk-in one is coming from you, right? From Ace, which is supposed to be
Probably this week.
this week, yeah. So Tim said he'd jump on that when he came. We'll get that door taken care of. The front door that we have slated to be changed, it's ordered, correct? That's not going to be here. That had like a 6-month lead time.
Yeah.
Some crazy.
It was like 12 to 16 weeks. Something like that.
So I had a long lead time for that door. So that'll be coming on the front. And did the awning thing ever come about?
And we're gonna put a new awning. We're gonna put an awning out there to designate it as the.
I get lots of people that walk in if the garage door's open, if they need the door open. They walk in the garage door because they said they didn't know what door to go in. I find that difficult to believe if you look at the front of our building, but I've got it more than once. I've done it.
The building doesn't look very well.
Yes, so we're changing that a little bit. Enter here, something, but, so we're working on that too. As of, the end of, a week ago, this past Friday, we were number like 50 on the list on the new cars to get done. I keep giving you this countdown. He said he was really shooting for the end of November.
December then.
So I'm guessing middle of December, and then they'll be off for Christmas, New Year's.
Yep.
I just don't know.
Right.
When that's going. So, budget wise, I've got a pretty good draft done. Well, there's a few changes that have come up that I need to change that the mayor and I have talked about. Get with Brian this week, maybe the end of the week, and we'll sit down and have a first shot at that. And I bought some training equipment for us that was we had in the budget for training equipment that's really puts us in top of the line. I don't mean equipment. Well, I guess it probably is, but as far as training goes, it's putting us ahead of where the minimum is. Because one of the things that with firearms training, et cetera, is if you just do the state minimum, if you ever, God forbid, have an incident, and they say, really, you just did the minimum, that's all you did. So we will be above that now, so we'll be in a better spot, and just better safety wise for the guys and for the residents. So thank you. I think that's about it.
Old business North Street westbound was tabled. Do we have any new business?
Yeah, so bringing up the building department update, I just kind of want to just keep you guys fresh. Just a reminder that the state does recognize that we have a building department, but we don't have staff, and so we're out of compliance. That either needs to be something that we hire from within, or we hire ourselves, or it's something that we go out and get contractual services. So we did get a quote. We got a contract from Safe Built, which is a nationwide company, but what they do then is they contract with local guys, gals to provide those to do the inspections. There's a lot of neat possibilities that come from that. In other words, there would be something on our website that would be a Safe Built logo. You click on that, you can submit plans, you can submit drawings, you can submit everything electronically, and they have like a guaranteed 36-hour response time and approval process to where people are getting their stuff back very quickly.
What's that cost?
Well, it would be it could be arranged one of two ways, but probably for us, it would be like a per hour kind of a thing.
Is this for plan review or inspections during construction?
It's for both. They would be able to provide both.
And it would be residential only, plan review.
They would be residential only. They can do commercial. They would obviously prefer to do residential and commercial. With that option, they can do a percentage of the fee.
Yeah, but the commercial goes to the county.
What I'm saying is we would have the option to do commercial,
But right now,
but right now the commercial's with the county and this would be residential. Reached out to a lot of different municipalities. No one's interested in taking this on. We do have though two local guys, relatively local guys that came across, and they're home inspectors. And so I got with them. They're interested. And so they have applied with the Department of Building Standards. They've sent their credentials in. They filled out the applications to be certified. And I think it was something like the Department of Building Standards didn't meet in October. So they had to wait till November. So I've not moved on
It
anything.
was one of those Michael Hiles, the one guy I gave you.
Might have been.
Okay.
Might have been.
Yeah, 'cause I know he does.
and then it was Nate.
And the other was Nate. Yeah. So, you know, I wanted to give, you know, it'd be nice to go with local people that are, you know, neighbors if we can. So I thought we would at least wait to hear back from the Department of Building Standards before we move forward with that. So just to keep you updated on all that. To say though, where we were about a month and a half ago, it was like we had no options. So, or I couldn't find any options. So pretty pleased that we've got a couple here. So.
Anything
When you get more information.
Yeah.
Is there any way we could do a side by side?
Yeah, we can do that. Yep.
So we can kind of see.
else?
Yes.
Can we use both of them? Or
Well-
is it, or is it, do you have to just have one? It doesn't
Well,
matter.
according to the Department of Building Standards, you need a backup. So for each one of those, plan review, residential inspection, I think it's something else. You need your first go-to, and then you need a backup. The thing is they said a lot of times the backup never gets called on, which is good, but
Right.
that you need the backup legally. So we would have to have like our primary and then our secondary. So that'd be something that we would just have to decide. In talking with Safe Built, they said that our fee structure right now for inspections and stuff's like 1990s
Yeah,
in fees in the fee level. So if we were to work with them, and probably even if we end up working with one of the other inspectors, there's probably gonna have to be a change in that.
What's the name of the company?
Safe Built.
Now, do they offer like liability coverage if you contract with them? Because one of the things I've seen with municipalities is when they start putting building inspectors out there, if their building inspector misses something and the house gets built,
Right.
and then the homeowner discovers that you inspected it, but it's built wrong or not to spec,
Sure.
like, okay, did you guys inspect this? And if so, are you liable?
Yeah.
Versus the contractor.
Yeah.
And so I guess I'm concerned, because that's what I've run into now, is that most of these places where they have their own in-house building inspectors are also requiring you to have your own, that give another report, so that the homeowner has that added security
Sure.
that they have their own inspector over and above this. Sure. Which becomes redundant and annoying, but I guess I'm concerned about liability.
Yeah, I'll look into that.
Once we're doing these inspections,
Yeah.
if it's wrong.
I think I can give you
an
I think I can give you an answer on that, but let me look into that to give you a better answer. I did talk to Lithopolis uses them. They've said they've been nothing but pleased with the process. I mean, that of course doesn't answer your question about liability, but I'll find that out.
Anything else? Next meeting will be 4th of November. Fourth Monday in November, November 25th at 6:30 for immediately following service committee meeting. Can I get
Preparing this to adjourn.
Going to.
3 more meetings?
Big discussions, right?
7 o'clock. All right, let's go. Lord, I will be having thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Brian, could I get a roll call, please?
Cosgray,
Present.
Foreman,
Present.
Gary, Phillips, Reedy, Schaffner.
Okay, can I get an approval for the minutes of October 14th?
Someone makes a motion to approve the October 14th public hearing meeting minutes.
Oh, yeah, October, yeah. That's right. Foreman,
Can I get a roll call on that?
Foreman,
Yes.
Reedy,
Yes.
Schaffner,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
McCreary,
Yes.
and Cosgray.
Yes. Or makes a motion to approve the council minutes from October 14th. Second.
Roll call on that?
Foreman,
Yes.
Cosgray,
Yes.
McCreary,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Reedy,
Yes.
Schaffner.
Yes.
Okay, can I get an approval of the agenda?
Make a motion that we approve the agenda for tonight's meeting.
4 seconds.
Can I get a roll call on that?
Reedy,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Cosgray,
Yes.
Schaffner, McCreary.
Yes.
Okay. Brian, if you want to grab the visitor sheet. All right, if everybody that's here has signed the sheet, if you want to speak or not, we will call you in order of which it's on the sheet. We ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes, and we will proceed. Go ahead, Brian.
No. Joe, you got a question mark? No, okay. Sherry Pimer?
Yeah, we've got some other people from the group. Can we kind of group
Okay,
together?
okay.
So I'll wait.
All right, then we have, well, all the way down to the bottom, Melissa Hoover and Melissa.
I'm here representing a grassroots group called Citizens for Fair Fields. You probably have heard about us, and you've certainly heard about the development in our community. There are 1,550 acres that are slated to be developed as a part of the Eastern Cottontail Solar Project. I'm bringing you a binder today, and because I'm limited to 3 minutes, I'm not going to do my usual soapbox. You'll get my amended version. But this binder will take you through our thought process on this particular project. My ask tonight is that you will consider and write for us a letter to the Ohio Power Siting Board saying that you deny this, you would like them to deny this project. The reason being is that it is in direct conflict with our Fairfield County land use plan. There is a map in this binder that actually shows the growth areas of 2 of the villages in Walnut Township, and that the land that is a part of the project, they overlap. So we have a conflict, we have a problem. And going forward, this obliterates our land use plan. As a resident of Walnut Township, I would like you to consider the fact that our zoning has been trampled on by this project. We live in an area that is zoned rural residential, and this is an industrial project. I don't know all the zoning code of Liberty Township, but I know that here in the village, you have areas where you want to have your commercial development versus where you want your residential development. This is much the same thing. In Walnut Township, we're not allowed to build a home in areas that are zoned industrial. We have an area in Walnut Township that's zoned industrial right out here on 256 between your village and 37. We cannot build a home on that piece of property. However, they're able, by what they're doing, to bring industry right next to our homes. In this pie chart, we have illustrated, and you can pass it around, do however you would like with it, but this green sliver indicates the 13 people who have signed their land up for the project versus all of those homes that are within a 1 mile radius. There are 1,029 homes within 1 mile of the project versus the 13 who have signed their land up for the project. Now, I will say that in my very own testimony, when I first learned of this project, I went to the landowner who was kind of leading the charge, and I said, "What the heck is going on?" And he said, "It's all true." Oh, goodness. Well, I guess.
The only question I've got for you.
Yes, sir.
Is any of that, in our village, any of that land that they're talking about developing?
It is not in your village.
Okay.
However, it is a part of, this is a conflict with our land use plan, and our township abuts yours.
Yeah.
And Walnut Township would like to have, if I may speak for the majority of residents, and you'll find a list here of the number of letters written. We would like to have your support.
And township trustees in Walnut agree with you as well?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I would tell you, if you leave that, we'd all take a look at it and we definitely talk about it, sure.
Excellent. I appreciate that very much.
Yeah.
That's all I can ask for is your consideration. I will tell you that there is a time limit on this. We have to have all letters presented to the Ohio Power Siting Board staff prior to their project being complete. And we don't know what that date is going to be. We are anticipating that it will be done by November 15th.
Okay.
So
I'm going to a township, Walnut Township trustee meeting on the 6th. So,
great.
By then we will at least, hopefully all of us have a chance to review that.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. I appreciate
Absolutely.
your time.
Yep.
All 3 minutes of it. Thank you.
Scott Thompson.
Sure. Is this, are you guys talking about a different?
Well, we're just going through whatever visitors are here.
Okay, it's all good.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm here for the D.R. Horton. The team's here, and I think they're going to present and give you some more information. But again, after the last meeting, I had some time to think too on a couple of the questions, some of the different questions. But I know I've got 3 minutes, so my position is I bought the land 20 to 30 years ago, and it was already zoned for housing. It had already been zoned. It's actually platted with the county. And then I had taken it and renamed it to Meadow Creek and put in some more lots, and it was actually approved, but that was right around 2006. So since then, the economy turned down right then, and it just wasn't a good time to develop it. But we had approvals, we had the sewer, we had everything approved, just like these gentlemen do. And in the meantime, cost have went up, just like inflation and anything else. And I'm not interested in developing it. It's just very hard to make money on the development. Where they can make some money on the houses a lot of times, I'm not going to get into their business. But I know that you guys have really looked this over well. And majority of you have, and I commend you for that. The engineering, the sewer, the water. And you've actually done a good job of negotiating with D.R. Horton on not giving anything back. So I commend you on that. And a couple items came up. One was these might become rental properties. So I did look into the rental properties, and the average value in Baltimore, I think, is around 225,000. I think we can agree on that, the average house value in this town. And the average house value with D.R. Horton is going to be 350 to 425. I think that pretty much economics alone will tell you what's going to happen to the village if you don't have some new housing in here. And then the other item was the gentleman had came in here before. I'm sorry, I forgot his name again. The older gentleman that talked about his kids and grandkids. He came in here and made a really good point. He said that if the county, if the village doesn't, the town doesn't grow. I'm sorry, it's been a long day here. It's Monday too. But if the village doesn't grow, what's it going to do? And with an average house price of 225, the newer houses will actually help that. And you all can control development, how many developments that this area gets. I mean, it's not like you can't control that. So it's not, it doesn't just get out of control automatically. And like I said, this had already been zoned for housing. It's kind of a shoe in. And then I can tell you from my experience in construction and concrete for 35 years that these people will deliver. They will make a nice development. They'll have an HOA. They'll follow through with it. Now, I'm not going to go defunct on it, but D.R. Horton is a very strong builder. So I think they're a great candidate for this. So that's why I just wanted to come up and present that. You guys have any questions for me? Anybody?
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
That's all I have on my list. Is there anybody else? Sherry? Oh, okay.
My name is Sherry Keimer. I've been here before, way back, talking about solar. Please, when you look at the book, please pay close attention to your plans for expansion to the east, because you will have to work with Walnut Township if you do overlays or annexation, something like that. And the gentleman just talked about how you have control of your development. You don't. Not when it comes to being close to a solar project, because you have land leased to the east that you may or may not have control over at all. There are 4 additional plots of land, which will be phase 2 of Eastern Cottontail. And that's another nearly 800 acres. So please pay close attention to that. And of the 13 property owners that have leased their land, 8 of them do not live here. Okay. So you have 5, well, let's just say the full 13. The property rights of a few cannot be to the detriment of many. And we're talking many. I've been over to EDF's Fox Squirrel project 5 times now over in Madison County. I just went again last week. And it's nearing completion. 4,500 acres. They don't have very many residences around. These farms over there are massive. It's completely different in Walnut Township. And you've got Buckeye Lake within 3 miles. That's a recreational and visitors, tourist area. So that's going to be detrimental to the growth in that area. Okay. So just take a really hard look at it. And I know one of the people in here has written a letter for it that was posted on the Ohio Power Siting Board. But that doesn't mean that the rest of you can't oppose the project.
Somebody in this room? Okay, so I wouldn't know who that would be.
Yeah, well, I'm not.
I think she's talking about me, maybe.
Well, I wasn't gonna. I didn't want.
Oh, okay. I'm totally for it. So
yeah, I mean, and in the letter, it's basically a form letter that the solar company is putting out and having people sign various form letters. They talk about jobs and all that. Those jobs are construction jobs for the most part. If you go to Yellowbud over in Pickaway County, there is a crew of 3 people taking care of 2,000 acres. How many more jobs agriculturally do you have out there with the farmers that own the land the farmers that own the land that maybe lease the land to another farmer. Okay, anyway, just take a real close look and take a hard look. Thank you.
Absolutely. Is there any other visitors?
I, not on the list unless there's someone else who didn't sign in. Okay.
Let's go to village reports. For my report, really, all I had today, we kind of went over in service and safety. I think it's going good over at Gordon Street. There was a little snafu, but I think we've overcome that. And I think Tim didn't say exactly, but I think not by the end of next week, the water lines will all be in and we'll be working on paving and finishing. I really didn't have anything. How about you, Matthew?
Just what I submitted in my village administrator's report. Unless there's any questions on that, I'll just let that stand.
Anybody have any questions for Matthew? Fiscal officer, Mr. Hoover.
I really don't have anything except Wednesday I'll be out of the office attending. What day is the 30th? Is that Wednesday?
Yeah, it's Wednesday. Yes.
I'll be out of the office Wednesday attending the annual fiscal officer training. So.
Mr. Solicitor.
3 new pieces of legislation on the agenda. The first is ordinance 2024-38, which authorizes the mayor and village administrator to execute an employment agreement with a new mayor's court prosecutor. The former prosecutor resigned, and this does have emergency language. The terms of the agreement are the same as with the previous prosecutor, as far as the pay, the term, the obligations, that sort of thing. And I've spoken personally to the prosecutor. He's willing to do it. He's got experience in that area. He does it for some other communities. And if that ordinance is passed tonight, it will be on board in time for the next mayor's court session.
Which we need that to be.
Yeah. So next ordinance is on for first reading is 2024-39, which is an ordinance accepting annexation of 87.0 acres. The standard ordinance that is the final piece of legislation that the village needs to consider for confirming the annexation of the Act investment parcel east of the village, which is contiguous to the village. And the village has worked with the developers of that parcel and with the property owners as far as that goes. And this provides the village's formal consent to approve that annexation. The village has been supportive of this all along. This includes several additional parcels, including the railroad right-of-way, which is a very important buffer for the village that has been discussed in the past. And Attorney Tom Hurt is here on behalf of the developers. He's been in attendance for all the meetings, quite frankly, regarding this proposed annexation. So, and then the last piece of legislation on for first reading is resolution 2024-40. Let me backpedal for a second. There is emergency language regarding the annexation. Typically, the village has to wait 60 days after the hearing before the county commissioners. And we're under the terms of a pre-annexation agreement with the developer, which requires us to keep this project moving forward. And annexation is one piece of it. Resolution 2024-40 authorizes the village administrator to file an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission state capital improvement programs, execute contracts as necessary. Standard piece of legislation that the village passes pretty much every year to, in order to become eligible for applying for any kind of grant monies out there. And that's all I have.
Do you need sponsors?
On all of them.
Well,
yeah,
Foreman,
you've already assigned them.
Foreman's the sponsor on 40.
On 40?
Yeah.
I could do 38 if you need one.
Yes.
Then we need one for 39.
And what was 39?
The annexation.
Yes, we definitely need one for that.
So we can for that.
Yep, okay. All right, then we'll go to village council committee reports.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the finance committee did not. And we will have our next meeting on November 11th at 6 p.m.
Service met this evening at 6. And we went over what's going on with the wastewater treatment plant and the gates and the maintenance out there, as well as the new project with the wells. And put forward some the OPWC legislation at the council. Our next meeting is going to be on November 25th at 6 p.m.
Safety, we met tonight, didn't talk about anything new. I knew we get the third meeting coming up for Mill Street, Walnut Street tonight. Our next meeting will also be November 25th at 6:30. Last but not least,
Rules did not meet tonight. Our next meeting is November 11th at 6:30 p.m. We're directly after finance.
Chief, do you have anything further than what we talked about earlier?
Nothing to add.
Yes, sir. Wade, I did know that you went to the fire board meeting a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it was on the 17th. They met over at 6:10, a little bit earlier than they normally do. And they just basically were getting ready to start a new budget cycle for next year.
Okay, super.
Next meeting will be third Thursday in November, which is the 21st at 6:30 at Station 610.
I do want to say I talked to Ted, and he really appreciated your input and everything that you're doing on behalf of the village. So we want to do as we do with everybody, but especially with the fire department. So I appreciate that. Okay, so we'll go to the roads committee, planning and zoning. Next meeting for that would be,
Oh my goodness. It's the 14th, I believe. Yeah, 14th.
Yeah.
14th.
They have to review that moratorium thing on that piece of legislation that's up for a third reading tonight, which will have to be tabled until zoning
gets finished.
Yeah, because we definitely need to have a public hearing, and planning and zoning hasn't met. So that piece of legislation, as Brian indicated, will need to be tabled.
Okay. So when we get to that, let me know.
I'll remind you.
Okay, sure. Street commission, I don't know that there's anything really left to add. I know Steve is working with somebody to do some tree trimming and picking out the trees for the next cycle for the grant money that they have. I spoke to him today.
Sure. We had someone concerned about some of the placement. Did anybody speak to?
Yeah, and he's actively, every place that we talked about, they're either gonna remove, trim, or they're gonna work out something. And then from this point on, he just said a lot of that was done a long time ago. They're gonna be conscientious of how that works. So that, because obviously that's important for everyone. Anything for the records commission? No, nothing? Okay, Debbie, anything on the commission?
The big thing is the grant was submitted to Fairfield County on Friday. So we're just waiting to hear back on that. I think Pick seems to think that we have a pretty good grant report.
And if you haven't got an account, I don't know if anybody's ever seen, but you should look through them because they're actually really, the pictures are cool. They did a good job with that. So anything else? Okay. Well, we will go to motion. Right? Okay.
Is there any, on the motion I made at the last meeting, we're gonna talk about that?
Street water line project.
Does
that become a ordinance? Go ahead and do that yet. He motioned it, I seconded it. I think it failed at that point.
Yeah.
We get sent to Brian so he can talk to Jeff about the particulars of getting that started.
And we had, it was kind of confusing as what you wanted. We cannot move $500,000 to the, well, we can't, or even reserve or increase appropriation, whatever you want to do. It can't be done this year. The County Budget Commission, if you, the paperwork we provided,
sorry about that.
It's, we have, let's see, I don't have it in front of me. Help me out here. We had, yes, our fund balance in general fund is like $600,000. However, we still have 400,000 in unencumbered monies that have been appropriated, not spent yet, but we have, and you cannot, appropriations cannot exceed your total certified resources. So if we arbitrarily increase appropriations and did that, and I said to the county auditor, they would kick it back and say we can't do it.
The
Because
money that we had put in savings previously can never, ever be spent.
I didn't say that.
Okay,
but
trying to zero in on exactly how we access that money so we can fix our water system.
I just think we just need to find more funding for the water department. General fund cannot handle that kind of an expense right now.
Is there anything that we have, I mean, it passed, so.
Well, it passed for me to prepare legislation, but I got with Brian and he said it's not doable.
It's not doable.
Take to unlock that money that's in savings, because we keep going to Uncle Mike and Uncle Jeff and asking for money, and I think they're not giving it to us because we have to spend the money we have trying to fix our own problem.
The only thing we can do is just budget for it next year. I mean, but
money we have in savings can never ever be spent.
No, I'm not saying that.
I'll make a new motion. Well, so we only saying is to.
It just can't be done this year.
Right.
What we can try to fit it in next year's budget, but I haven't, the budget hasn't even technically been started yet.
That we take 500,000 out of the savings and put it towards replacing this water main out here on Market Street.
We don't have a savings. It's just, we have a checking account, we have an investment account. And when we go into yes, we have that money. It's confusing. It's fund accounting. Yes, we have an overall balance of 600,000 right now in the general fund, but close to 80,000 is tied up in outstanding encumbrances right now. You have $400,000 that's already been appropriated.
I'm not talking about the general fund.
Okay.
I'm talking about a savings account.
We don't have a savings
We don't
account.
have.
The money that's drawing interest at Star Ohio.
Okay, Star Ohio, that balance is 500,000. But again, if you take that money out of Star Ohio, it doesn't change the overall numbers. They're all the money that we have in each fund is pooled. It's a combination of what we have at Park National and Star Ohio. So simply moving money out of one account, putting it in another, it does not change the overall financial picture of the village.
Can I ask a question?
This is where I beat my head on the way I explained it to you. Yeah.
Where did the number from 4,000 come? No, I'm asking, where did you guys come up with this number? Because is this working with the engineering firm? Okay.
I chose 500,000 when I saw we had a balance on a spreadsheet of over $600,000. And I talked to Tim and he said, if we spent the same amount of money that we spent on Washington Street, we would be able to put the main line in out here on Market from Homer Road to just past Oak Street.
Wouldn't we need to actually get verification from B3?
Yes. Which they're working on.
Okay, so all I'm saying
And we
is
have to bid it out.
arbitrary shot in the dark. I didn't know if this was a number based on information and estimate or what have you.
What is the balance of Star Ohio?
574,000. But remember that picture I showed you of the overall fund balances? It's total $1.9 million. It's made up of what's in Park National and Star Ohio. Simply moving money from Star Ohio into the Park National does not change any of those numbers above. So yes, that's our savings account. Yes, but we can touch it, but it doesn't change the overall picture of the village. It doesn't change any number above. I explained this to you.
So Brian and I had a conversation about this, and by conversation, I meant I kept asking the same question. He kept getting the same response until we wanted to murder each other.
Well, I'm beating my head against the wall.
But I just wasn't getting it. And make sure that I'm saying what I'm saying is right.
Right.
So my understanding was Star Ohio, when I came to, I think, understand it was that money is not just like a savings account like I have in my home. Of course, I don't have 500,000 or anything like that, but in that it's bucketed into streets and sewer and water, and you can't take the street fund. So even though there is $500,000 in there, that's not just a pot
of money that
of
can go
money
anywhere.
that can be used for anything. The street money has to, if it's brought over, is brought over for streets. If wastewater is brought over for wastewater. So I think what Brian's trying to say is that's 500,000, yes, but it has designated purposes for
But
it.
general fund can be used for water.
Yes, it
So
can.
general fund, so
And so the
he's,
money in Star Ohio, to my understanding.
It's not all
cover
general-
fund.
no.
It's mostly general fund.
It's mostly general fund, but again, it's not gonna, if you move money from Star Ohio to the park naturally, it doesn't change that $600,000. It stays the same. It does not move.
We just want to spend.
Well, the other thing that I think we have to figure out too is, I think, you know, Tim said, yes, we could replace water lines, but then he also came back and said we should do that at the same time that the state pays it.
So we need to have it done before the state pays it, because this came up the last time the state paid it. And this, we knew the state was gonna pay it in a year. And at that time, I suggested that we probably should examine that water line because we knew it wasn't new. And so now we are a couple years out from when they're gonna repave it again. And I don't know the exact number of times we've cut up Market Street since they repaved it. But within 12 to 18 months of the time that they repaved it, we had a major break at the corner of Tower and Market.
Right.
It actually had pavers moved up, and I nearly wrecked my truck driving down the street. And it was because at that time I was told, well, that's one of the newest water lines in town. Well, it turns out it is not. So I was lied to. And we've done multiple repairs on that since. So if we're gonna replace that water line, we need to do it before they repave it. And so there was a limited number of years before we're gonna be in that same position again, where the state's putting brand new pavement over the water line. It should have been replaced.
So I guess, so from here, I guess we should get which V3 I think is actually working on how much water line we can put, and I don't have that figure back from them yet. But get that and then get with Tim and say,
So I guess I would like to find out how much money we can appropriate to replace the Market Street water line. If we can't appropriate $500,000, I'd like to know a number.
And Brian, is it possible to come up with that number that council's asking for example, at a finance committee?
I guess it all depends on, we sit down and when we hammer out the budget for next year, whatever, I mean, money's left, but you don't want to deplete the general fund.
no.
That is the general operating fund of the village.
When I proposed,
Well,
I left over 100,000 in there.
well, you left 100,000 in there, but we can't do it this year because it would violate a higher vice code section. We can't do it.
So what we gotta do.
But we're only 2 meetings away from the end of the year.
Right.
Granted,
We're gonna be on a
continuing budget for next year, but we need to start determining how much money we can put into guard improvement.
We're not doing our jobs if we're not using every available dime to fix this water system.
I understand. And I agree
And
with
I
you.
don't care if it's 100 feet, I don't care if it's 1,000 feet, 2 feet, whatever. But if we have existing money that we can get our hands on as council, we need to use that and replace these water lines. And especially this one out here.
I don't disagree with you. But
I spend money we don't have, but somebody tell me how much we have.
Exactly.
So here's what we need to do. We need to figure out. I'm gonna get a figure from V3, how much it's gonna cost. I would like to say I'll have that by the next meeting. And then between now and then. We'll have to
Go on
hammer out.
finance agenda.
Yeah.
That project should go on finance agenda.
That's the next meeting.
Yep. And that's what we'll do. Is that acceptable to everyone? But I agree with you, Gar. I think we are all in agreement. That
We used to have the best water around.
yes.
People
still
really
do.
developed a lot.
It just doesn't make it to your house.
Right, it's the lines that come through the town.
And it's getting better. I think it's better now than what it was.
And the reason I chose Market Street is it's one of the biggest lines.
Yes.
And I think that's gonna improve even the older lines until we get those replaced.
Right. Yeah, and I'm in agreement with you. We had this conversation that we can't just wait on grant money. Because grant money isn't always gonna be there, like they said. So if we have a bunch of money left over, we need to use some of it up. So we're all in agreement on that. Okay.
Put it on finance agenda.
Yeah, so that's what we'll do for the next one. So, thanks. All right, so now we're gonna go to motion. So this first one is, did you have a sponsor for it? I'm shocked. Ms. Shaw. First reading. Ordinance 24-38, an ordinance authorizing the mayor and the village administrator to execute the employment agreement with Darren C. Lice for the provision of prosecutor services to the Baltimore Mayor's Court and declaration of an emergency. That is the guy that's going to do the Mayor's Court. We need to try to pass this tonight so he is available for our next Mayor's Court. Discussion.
This is, like you just read, this is, just an ordinance trying to replace the former prosecutor who, has resigned. And so I would at this point move to review.
Question for you, Debbie, has this been through committee?
No. Well, wait. No, it has not.
We need a motion to bypass the committee.
No, no.
This has already been discussed.
Okay, so I'm gonna rescind that and say move to,
Bypass committee.
the committee, hearing or whatever.
Bypass committee.
Hold a second.
Do we have to have a vote on that, Brian? Okay, can we have a vote on that?
Oh, yeah. Schaffner,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Cosgray,
Yes.
McCreary,
Yes.
Reedy.
Now a motion to suspend.
That's what I was gonna say. Now I need you to, sorry, Deb.
Now I'm moving to, suspend the reading.
Foreman second.
Any discussion on that? Can I get a roll call, Brian?
Schaffner,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Reedy, McCreary,
Yes.
Cosgray.
Yes.
And now motion to adopt, ordinance 2024-38.
Okay, second.
Roll call.
Schaffner,
Yes.
Cosgray,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Reedy,
Yes.
McCreary.
Yes.
So the next two motions are gonna be exactly like what we just did. Because we need to try to pass these other emergency too. So if I can get some help with that, I'll read the ordinance as goes. Ordinance 24-39, an ordinance accepting the annexation of 87 acres, directing to the village solicitor to prosecute proceedings necessary to effect it, and the declaration of an emergency. That is Mr. Foreman.
Yeah, now this is the Ackers Farm,
Yes.
and in addition to this, we're annexing the railroad all the way to 37, which kind of acts as a buffer to keep Thurston from annexing right up to our doorstep. So I make a motion to suspend 3 readings. Goes for a second.
Any discussion on that? Can I get a roll call, please, Brian?
Foreman,
Yes.
Cosgray,
Yes.
McCreary,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Reedy,
Yes.
Schaffner.
Yes.
Okay.
Foreman makes a motion to adopt. Goes for a second.
Any discussion on that? Can I get a roll call, please, Brian?
Foreman,
Yes.
Cosgray,
Yes.
McCreary,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Reedy,
Yes.
Schaffner.
Yes.
Okay. And kind of what, we're gonna go to the same thing here for next one. Resolution 24-40 is a resolution authorizing the village administrator to prepare and submit an application to persist. You know what I mean? Ohio Public Works Commission, OPWC, state capital improvement and or local transportation improvement programs to execute contracts as required in a declaration of emergency. We're trying to do that so we can get funding for Elmwood and the street, the project that we're talking about next year. Can I get some more?
So Foreman makes a motion. This is the OPWC projects moving along, and Foreman makes a motion. We suspend 3 readings.
Okay. Any discussion on that? Can I get a roll call?
Foreman,
Yes.
Reedy,
Yes.
McCreary,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Schaffner,
Yes.
Cosgray.
Yes. Foreman makes a motion to adopt.
Any discussion? Can I get a roll call, please, Brian?
Yes.
Reedy.
Yes.
Doesn't make a note to myself. Okay, back to Cosgray.
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
McCreary,
Yes.
Schaffner.
Yes.
Now, the second reading, before we get to the second reading, I just want to tell you all, I did go to the township meeting last week. And they were asking to come here, at our next meeting, which is the first week of November, to talk about the annexation of one of the, and they would like to talk to us about what their thoughts are and their process. So I'm gonna read it and
It's only on for a second.
right. They're gonna come here. They're gonna come here. Yes. Yes. Okay, so I am going to read the ordinance, 24-33, ordinance accepting the annexation of 83.346 acres, the Keller family annexation, directing the village and solicitor to prosecute proceedings necessary to effect and the declaration of an emergency.
And I'm sponsoring this particular ordinance, 2024-33. As we mentioned, this is a piece of property that we've talked about, those 83 plus acres that we've talked about several times. And the proposal to accept the annexation. So we're gonna leave this on for a third reading.
Someone wants to make a motion to table this ordinance for clarification on one, addresses, county addresses, two, the annexation agreements in Fairfield County Parks, and three, to hear what the township trustees have to say.
That's for a second.
Any discussion on that? Can I get a roll call?
Foreman,
Yes.
Cosgrave,
Yes.
McCreary,
No.
Reedy,
No.
Johnner, Phillips.
Yes.
It's 3-3 to table.
So it's a tie where you break the tie.
I feel, listen, I'm all for it, but I feel like we got to at least hear what the township has to, boy, I hate that. I feel like we got to at least hear what the township has to say, and that's where I stand on that.
We're still going
So,
It's going to a third reading.
It's going to a third reading.
so when does it matter if we table it or not?
Well,
I guess
the
my
table
question.
can be adopted, though.
Oh, we're not
It
adopting
has to
it.
be on table
It can be
first.
on.
Oh, we're not adopting it.
Tonight.
to, we have one more reading and then to
We
hear.
have to untable it before it can be adopted.
But he's tabled. You're back in yesterday.
Yeah, it's already been done.
Can we have a little discussion?
Yeah.
Okay. I personally, I know what some of the, rumors are going around about this property up there. I personally talked to Mr. Keller. And is not, he has no plans to back development. Even though you're hearing a bunch of other stuff. So, and
I haven't heard the rumors on this now. I'm just, you know, aware of this is something we discussed for months and months in terms of the annexation of this particular property.
I'd like to dwell on the address part of it a little bit. And the whole address thing, they're saying that in the name of safety, we have to stick with county addresses. And over the long term, that's going to cause a bigger safety issue. Because as we're annexing these properties, there may be 3 or 4 or 5 addresses associated with these annexations. As these annexations happen, now you're going to have possibly hundreds of addresses that are made up as county addresses. And as the village grows, now these random addresses are going to be inside the village rather than being contiguous with the village addresses. And I, for one, should have never been assigned a county address when I opened my business. If I would have been, there was no address for my building. I annexed into the village. I was assigned a county address. And so here I am on Main Street in Baltimore, Ohio, at 8865 Lancaster Kernersville Road, instead of at 931 Main Street. If it isn't changed when we make these annexations, when, pray tell, do they get changed?
The village could do it.
So when and why?
okay.
Why not, as we annex, they go to village address?
It's villages, any municipality in the county has the ability to change the address system. The county may want to give some input on it. EMTs, fire department would probably want to give input because they're going to want to avoid a scenario where you have 100 North Main Street and then you jump to Baltimore Kirkersville Road and then potentially you jump to 200 North Main Street. That's my perception of what the county was stressing when they said, please consider the county numbering system for these new parcels, because you have a lot of parcels on the east side of 158 going north, which are all Baltimore Kirkersville Road addresses. if this parcel's annexed, the parcel then north that's adjacent to 158, the village could say, we want to number that North Main Street. And that's where the county would say, why are you doing that? And what input do you have from any emergency services? Because that could cause a lot of confusion. But your property, you could take that to service and ask service to recommend that numbering system be changed.
Yeah, that was my question. My question is, how do we, if we annex a property or something that's already annexed, how do we as a village, change it so that if we annex it, it's Baltimore's numbering system?
Pass an ordinance.
That's it?
Yeah.
And see, they requested that we not do that.
They requested that we enter into an agreement saying that we'll follow the county's numbering system.
Yeah, but
Well, and as I mentioned though, I asked for a copy of a sample agreement because there was mention of them having one with the city of Lancaster. And I asked for a written copy of their house numbering system. They couldn't come up with either. And so they finally said, well, we're not going to hold you to this agreement, to the village entering into an agreement, but we would ask you to consider that before you adopt any kind of alternate numbering system for these newly annexed parcels. So it's a non-issue right now because from what I understand, as Darla indicated, it's a farm field. Yeah, and there's no development plan for that. If and when it is developed, then the village would be expected, okay, what do we do with the numbering system on that parcel? So, but with regard to yours or any other parcels that have Baltimore-Kirkersville Road, if they're in the village and those property owners want to change their numbering system, that can be done. I mean,
we already have the same issue going east on Baltimore-Somerset Road, where you literally have a village address directly across the street from my county address.
Yeah.
And now as we annex those parcels, as you head east, they're jumping around. And I think that as they're annexed, we should be clarifying that they become that street and that address.
That's a policy.
In what we have been talking about here, they specifically said, no, we would rather do it this way.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to do.
But that's a policy that council can adopt and say,
And
hey,
so where does it start? Service, safety?
either one. So yeah, safety would be good.
So so I'm just asking this because I'm just trying to understand it. So if we changed your address to a Baltimore address, we'd be,
mine is just a good example of how difficult it is after you've annexed the property and it had no address, and then you established it as this county address, and now it's going to be a nightmare for me to go back to the address I should have been given on day one. Because we didn't give me a Baltimore address 15 years ago. Now it is a nightmare when I do change it, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't still like to change it, because it would be very beneficial to be on Main Street at a 931 or something versus a county road. But that's just mine. As you go east, you have the same things happening out there. That's what I'm saying. As they come in, that is the time to add. When somebody's building something, that's the time to assign a village address instead of a county address. And if it hasn't been built, you don't have a problem.
Yeah.
Once it's built, you have a problem.
And to expound on what Rick's mentioning, that was one of the comments from the engineer's office, is they're reluctant to force people to change addresses for that very reason. Because most of the time, property owners don't want to have to change their addresses for any number of reasons. Notifying family members and friends of their new address, notifying banks and investment companies and mortgage companies that they now have a new address for their property and that sort of thing. So it can be, that could be a hurdle for
So that's understandable, but as you're assigning, it's a hurdle for a dozen houses now. It's a hurdle for 100 houses later.
But is that a separate issue from this particular ordinance?
I believe it.
I feel like it's a separate issue. I don't feel like it is related to this.
Yeah, but council can adopt a policy.
And I would be for that. I just don't think it is aligned to this particular ordinance.
So if I'm correct, the mayor's vote is still not cast?
Well, no, yeah, correct.
So if he does cast in the negative,
then the no is when, and then it's not tabled.
It's not tabled, right?
Yeah, we're gonna take.
It still like goes on to third reading. And we still haven't looked into this whole annexation agreement that we.
Well, that's my biggest thing is I feel like with the Fairfield County thing. So we still have a third reading.
When the
So
Kellers came to us, they were annexing 2 farms. One's been stopped because the park system did not stick to their side of the agreement. I'd like to understand why and how that was allowed to happen.
But that's a separate issue also, I feel.
Both, when they came to us, they brought both farms at the same time.
Well, and like I mentioned before, Kellers are willing to move forward with all their parcels. Well, I shouldn't say all. With, you know,
They do in question.
yes, exactly. They're willing to move forward, and they've been very cooperative throughout this entire process. So,
So even if we let it go to the third.
in fairness, not to interrupt you, Mayor, but in fairness, if the township, if Liberty Township wants to come in or send a representative in, I think we should extend an invite to the Keller family and say, hey, you know, this is a meeting that's scheduled. If you have any interest, show up. So, and let them.
So we can let this reading go through.
Yes.
And then
Nothing changes until the next meeting is.
So let's just let this reading go through. And then I think what your idea is, so I'm voting to let it go through, but I am telling you that what we need to do is we need to get a hold of the Kellers. And like you said, have them here at the same time that the township's here.
So my understanding of the way this ended is 3 votes to table, 3 votes not to table, and the mayor saying don't table.
Right. That's, I don't want to speak for you, but that's what it comes
This goes
like.
like this. Yes, that is.
And I would like to propose on the service, is that where it's going? That we discuss the numbering system.
Yeah, we need to figure that out before we go any
Put
further.
it on the agenda for the next time.
Yeah, and that goes not just for north of town.
No,
but
that's.
east of town.
Yes.
We gotta figure that out.
If we annex it, it's Baltimore numbering system.
All right, so we're all clear on that.
Moving on to the third reading.
Yes.
So now we're going to the next resolution, is that correct, Brian?
Which by my count is 2024-35.
2024-35 resolution granting a special use agreement to the Baltimore Downtown Committee of the BRC for the use of the village facility for the winter market. This is sanctioned by Mr. Curry.
Yes, and we can leave this on for a third reading. This is just for the use of the park or a holiday market.
Put the vote on that.
No.
Okay, now we're to the third reading of ordinance 2431, ordinance to amend chapter 1336-07 planning and zoning code, non-conforming uses of damage and destruction of the Baltimore codified ordinances and the declaration of emergency. This is Ms. McCrary.
And this one does need to be taken because we need to have a public hearing on this.
Okay.
It can be adopted.
That makes this easy. So this is something we discussed with planning and zoning, but this has to do with, the homes and that if they have damage, we want to make sure that there's sufficient, ability to have those replaced according to the original specs, those plans. So I just want to see what this is.
Well, you have to.
Is that your motion?
Yes, I would like to move to, table this ordinance 2031.
There's no discussion. Can we get a roll call, please?
McCreary,
Yes.
Foreman.
Yes.
Cosgray,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Reedy,
Yes.
Schaffner.
Yes.
Now, we'll probably have that public hearing on the November 25th council, before council meeting, like at 6:45, 6:50, somewhere around there.
Okay. All right, the next ordinance is 24-32. An ordinance to rezone Basel Street, a 55.44 acre parcel known as parcel number 0240251400120 North Mill Street, a 13.2 acre parcel known as parcel number 024012442 and 8740 Basel Road Northwest, a 1.5 acre parcel known as parcel number 02402071109 from the village single family residential district R3 to a planned unit development district PUD and the declaration of emergency. Sponsor on this is Mrs. Reedy.
Yes, this is the Liberty Ridge development that we're talking about. This is the third reading, and I propose that we adopt.
Any discussion on this?
Yes, I have some things to say about it. Everybody knows that I've been kind of obsessed with the rental situation. I'm not sure that you talked to anybody today, but the attorney for Horton had called me earlier this week and told me that, I guess it was this week, last week, and told me that she thought that my recommendation to limit rentals was fair. And so she asked me what the percentage was that I would be comfortable with. I told her 10%. She called me back and said that the developer was only comfortable with 30%. I said that's better than 0%. Yeah, so great. I did receive a telephone call from her this afternoon saying that they had basically reneged on that and they will not be limiting rentals. They will still not allow corporate investors to rent on the first go.
So I think what they're saying is if somebody buys the house and 2 years down the road sells the house, then it's up to the village. I don't know how you can ever control that anyways, as far as the rental goes.
They do.
Right.
They do it all the time. So that's that part. I'm a little disappointed with that, but the other thing is what I've not heard anybody discuss at all is I've heard people talk about Basel Road being widened, this possibility. But Basel Street is a serious problem. I can see on Friday night, it's already pretty, not congested, but I'll look at the way and see 2-3 cars parked at four-way stop. With another 200 or 180 homes, there's going to be more than that. There's going to be a lot of traffic. There's no parking on the west side of the street. There's parking on the east side of the street. It is very tight. And there are people parked across the street. Between Washington Street and Maple Street, perhaps even going as far as Railroad Street. It's mostly between Washington and Maple. There's no way to widen the road. We're all on the streets. We take away, I see a day when we're going to have to take away parking on the other side of the street. And that means no parking on Basel Street, at least in that block. Now, most of those houses, I believe, on the east side of the street do have a garage. But I don't know that they all do. I mean, I know that one of them, at least two of them on that side of the street have a driveway. When you look at Christmas or whatever, I don't know, it's very complicated what to do with it if the congestion gets bad. And I'm just a little concerned about it, and I've not heard anybody address it so far.
I guess my thought on that would be they're not all going to come into town. There's other ways to get out of there. And I feel like a lot of those people aren't going to be working in Baltimore. That might they come in town for other things, yes.
He might work in, but everybody's making an assumption. I'm sorry to interrupt. Sure. Everybody's making an assumption that everybody who lives in that subdivision is going to be working in town. And that's just not the case. They could be working in Lancaster. Sure. And if they are, they're going to go straight down Basel Street every day and back and forth. Right? What I'm concerned about, like football games, other events that are happening in the village. Railroad Street is much wider than Basel Street. Oak Street is too. I mean, that would be a good way. I don't know if there's any way to cut through anywhere to take them out.
Well, I think a lot of people would probably take a railroad street to get to the school and stuff. That would be my thought. If I was coming from that way, that's the way that I would come.
I think about, and I've told other people this, I think about those houses on Refugee Road in Pickerington, close to Hill Road. When they built those houses, they had all this country air in that area, and now they have 4-lane highway right in front of their house. I just fear that that's what Basel Street is going to become. So that's all I just wanted to say.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I do. It's no secret, I'm against this. I don't hate the company. I don't hate people that hate the company. Choose to be emotional last meeting. Yeah, I get emotional because I've lived here my entire life. And I don't want to see our small town atmosphere vanish. Because I'm sure Pickerington and Canal said, just one more development. Just one more. Well, just one more. And then we're changing our village sign to a city sign. But I think it's 5,000 people. But yeah, you know, I was accused of not having any facts. Well, we're going to be 200 years old just after the first year, aren't we, Debbie?
Yes, we are.
That means we survived a civil war, 2 world wars, a depression, and how many other things. And I still just don't think it's right for this community. You know, somebody asked me one time, isn't council what you thought it would be? Oh, I said, oh, it's everything I thought it would be and worse. And that's all I gotta say. And I just want to, you know, be on the record. And if a small group of citizens still want to try to defeat this, they can get a referendum and they can do it because it happened in Carroll. Anybody else?
I'll go to a roll call and
Okay, Reedy.
Yes.
Foreman.
Yes.
Cosgray.
Yes.
McCreary.
Yes.
Phillips.
No.
Schaffner.
No.
That passed 4-2.
Yep. All right, so let's go on to any old business.
Oh, there's a table piece of legislation, which is a staying table.
It's staying table. They still got to hash that out rules.
Yes. In rules. So now is there any old business? New business. Any visitors would like to speak?
I have a question. Does Baltimore have any zoning concerning solar?
I can't answer.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, ordinances allowing it.
It allows rooftop solar, but not ground solar.
Okay. Is that just residential or do you have the commercial in it also? Because there are like 3 different categories.
To my knowledge, it would just be village wide. I could look into that further, but it's
Yeah,
pretty
I'm
much
just
village
curious
wide.
because I know another village that doesn't have anything that has been approached by an attorney with a landowner wanting to annex into the village so they can put a solar field in because they know that the township is an exclusionary zone.
That'd be prohibited here.
But
Yeah, because we would have to be in agreement with the township unless it's annexed in.
well, that's what I'm saying. If you annex in land and yeah,
It would be a different story. Anything else, anyone? Okay. The next meeting will be held Monday, the 4th. Excuse me. Next meeting will be held fourth Monday. I'm sorry, thank you.
No.
Fourth Monday.
No, second Monday.
Second Monday.
It was a typo. It's wrong. It should say second Monday.
Don't read it, it's wrong.
Should be November 11th.
Do I have a motion?
Foreman makes a motion to adjourn.
Have a second.
It is? It's wrong on the agenda? I thought I caught that. I don't know.
Tom, good seeing you as always.
Hey, I met one of your employees. One of your employees.
These I need, you to sign off. I also need.
Had back surgery. So we were sitting there watching this too.
Okay. And I'll pick them up tomorrow. Is that okay?
Well, then you better have, oh, he signed it. Okay. Got it.
Okay. I mean, what I'm saying is I don't need them.
Oh, anytime. Yeah, I'll be.
Just put them in my box. Okay. That employment agreement? Okay. Because I thought
Yeah, it's here. I'll have for him to sign.
Rick, I was gonna tell Debbie and Randy that this will be on my desk. If anybody wants to stop in and review it.
Are you gonna be at the EPA meeting tomorrow? I'll be there.
Oh,